Welcome back to How to Become a Freelancer in 30 Days. This is Anthony Chatfield. And today, on day 18, we're going to talk about how to create and promote content. Basically, I've mentioned this a lot in the last few days, and what I want to talk about today is how to use content and what it represents in your niche to build an audience and help have work come to you. This is like if you take anything away from this program, it's what I want you to take away is that you don't need to be out there chasing work. If you're an intelligent person who has a lot of skills and background in this area, or even if you're just building up that background, you can get people to come to you. Not only will you get paid more, you'll be in higher demand, but you'll never have to worry about finding work. And that's the key right there. If you don't have to worry about finding work, you can do this full time. So this is the stuff that's going to make the difference and help you do that. Everything else is about keeping stuff organized and figuring it out and making sure you stay on top of your schedule every day. But getting work is the key to freelancing across the board, and promoting content, building content, having a brand is how you're going to do it. So today's goals, day 18 goals, are going to be identifying content creation opportunities for you and your brand. And we're going to talk about various ways to do this. Even, a lot of them aren't writing content. But we're going to talk about how to do content that's not necessarily just text based on your skill set. Creating social media channels to promote that content. So kind of some of the areas where you need to be pushing that content out. And then building an editorial calendar to promote yourself. So basically creating a calendar that you can follow that's going to cover whatever spectrum of time you have available over the next few months. All right, so the kind of content that will promote your brand. A blog is very important because a blog doesn't require you to write anything necessarily. You can have infographics or videos or podcasts or short clips or images, whatever you want to have on there. A blog is a good forum to do it. Forum posts and blog comments, getting out there and interacting with the conversation in your niche, just becoming a voice that people recognize, that's going to help you immensely. Social media comments, interacting with other people on social media is going to help you build that audience, but also get your stuff out there. Ebooks and newsletters, very important, but also very time consuming. So make sure these are things that fit within your wheelhouse. If you're not comfortable writing a book, consider doing an infographic. If you're not comfortable designing or writing, think about ways you can develop content that is still free. For example, developers have these amazing skills that they can use to offer free content to people, whether it's a plugin that solves a problem or a free online tool. These things will help build your brand and get you out there. That is content. And, I'm a writer, so I always think from the writing side, but try to think from your perspective, what would be useful that your skill set can match. And then email marketing. We've talked about why it's important to build a list for your website. Highly recommend you do that. And we'll talk about a little bit about how to write content for that list so you can keep building that brand. All right. So using your website to promote a brand, very, very important. We've talked about what your brand is, what you represent, what you want people to think of when they think of you. Blogging is going to help you build that authority and practice your trade. So you're creating content much like you will be for your clients. It also helps you promote your portfolio through offer creation. Basically, anytime you offer something for free that someone can download, it gives you a chance to promote yourself directly. And it helps you solve problems that your target audience might have. So if they land on your website and see that you're already solving problems, then they know that you're going to be good to help them solve their problem, especially if you know more specifically what those problems are. It also makes it very easy to go onto other websites and start solving problems. This picture here is my profile on Lifehack, and what it does is you can see 4,100 whatever influence this is. That's total number of shares from those posts, just from the 6 posts I've done there. So I've gotten a lot of feedback and contacts and information from these posts, which didn't really take me that much time. And it all points back to my website where people can learn more about me and what I offer and what I do. Even if I'm not offering freelance services at any given point in time, this is how I can get them to learn more about me. Social media opportunities. So there are hundreds of social media platforms. Not all of them are worth your time. I would recommend starting with LinkedIn. Have a good LinkedIn profile. Make sure it's at that all-star level. LinkedIn will give you that score. Make sure you have a lot of recommendations, and if you can, get some written referrals onto that profile. Build a company page if you have a brand that you've started, and start posting into LinkedIn groups. Find groups related to the audience you're targeting and start posting into those. Twitter is also great. It lets you build an audience and become an authority within your space. It is time consuming. If you want to do Twitter, you got to make sure you have at least an hour a week total that you can set aside to work on that. If you don't have that time, honestly, I wouldn't recommend doing it at all. If you can't invest in Twitter, it's just not going to work. And that's not to say you shouldn't do it. It's just you don't want to do something halfway or spend part of your week doing something that's not going to be successful. So make sure you have enough time to do it or just don't bother with it. And the same is true for a lot of things. Pinterest and Instagram kind of fall into that category as well. Whereas Facebook, in general, Facebook is tough to use for businesses these days. Those page posts just don't show up. You could have 100 people who like you, and maybe 5 to 10 of them will see any post you put up. Facebook wants you to pay them. If you want people to see those posts, you got to pay. So if you don't have a budget for it, if you don't have a large enough audience, it's really not worth it. I would recommend building something and posting to it regularly and start building an audience that way. But if you can't get 100 likes relatively quickly, it's not worth doing. I have one that's been up for a long time that I maintain just to keep it maintained, but at this point I think it has 50, 60 some odd likes on it. It's really not worth investing more time into. And then Google Plus, very little comes out of this for me, but it does have SEO benefits. If you want an article to get indexed by Google quickly, as in immediately, post it to Google Plus, it'll be indexed within an hour. All right, and then finally, editorial calendar. It's all fine and good to say you're going to do something, but until you put it on a calendar and write it down and kind of visualize when it's going to go up, it's hard to get it done. So create a calendar for about 2 to 3 months out if possible, and write down what content you're going to do. You know, not only does it make it so you don't have to think about it next week and the week after that and the week after that and the week after that, but it helps you get ahead. You know, if you have a few extra hours any given week, you can write a couple extra blog posts and be ahead for the next 3 weeks because you know what's on your editorial calendar. Make sure you build content that matches your skills, though. Don't feel obligated to write stuff. You know, just because my examples tend to be writing, doesn't mean you have to write something. Our audience is increasingly visual. Videos perform far better than blog posts almost always. Not that you have to do videos either, but it's just an example of why content can be anything. Anything you put out there that provides value is content. All right. And then today's action, decide the type of content you want to create, outline a calendar of content you want to create, and build it out for about 2 to 3 months. And then start building those social media profiles if you don't already have them for any channels on which you plan to promote stuff. That's it. I mean, it should take too long. You don't need to start writing anything today. The key is just to have it in mind. Like, what can you do that provides value to people? All right. So if you have any questions, if you need any clarification on anything we talked about today, please leave comments below. And make sure, if you haven't yet, to leave me a quick review and an overview of the program, and any feedback you have, very much appreciated. That's it for today, though. I will talk to you tomorrow.